Okay, but if I win, I get to tell everyone.
Deal. Which coast?
I've never seen the Pacific. Which is that way, because the sun and it's...
What's happening, guys? Supernova here, back with another video, and this is one that's been requested a lot from you guys. This is the one about the velocity architecture in the Xbox Series X, and is it really faster than the SSD solution found in the PlayStation 5? The reason why everyone's talking about this right now is because of a video from a YouTuber named Dee Batch, where he claims that the PS5 SSD is slower than the Series X. Now, before I get into this video, I want to start off by saying I'm not a software engineer and I'm not a computer engineer. So all I'm going to be doing in this video is relaying the information back to you as best as I understand it, and then giving you my take or my opinion on this information. So before we get into the Dee Batch video, let's start by explaining what the velocity architecture actually is and what it does. The velocity architecture is Xbox's solution for game asset streaming for the Xbox Series X. It's comprised of 4 components: the custom NVMe SSD, the hardware accelerated decompression block, a new direct storage API, and sampler feedback streaming. Now, instead of going in detail as to what each individual component does, I'm just going to make it real easy and say it like this. The velocity architecture is this group of components that works together, and they're able to stack their capabilities on top of each other, basically multiplying the performance of the NVMe SSD. Think of it this way: you're playing an MMO and you have a sword, and you're able to put some enchantment on the sword to increase its strength by 10%. Then you find another enchantment that increases the strength by 10%, but you're able to put it on the sword without removing the original enchantment. The enchantments are stackable. So now not only do you have the original 10% increase to your strength, you have now this second enchantment which increases that overall strength by an additional 10%. And that's pretty much what the velocity architecture does. It is multiplying the performance output of the NVMe SSD, if that makes sense. Now let's get back to Dee Batch's video, and I'll link his video in the description so you can go check it out, because he does a really good breakdown of what each part of the velocity architecture does, and then he gives a quick explanation of how he's doing these multiplications to come up with these numbers that he comes up with, because he comes up with 2 theoretical numbers. One is that it's possible through the velocity architecture that the I/O throughput of the Xbox Series X could be 12 gigabytes per second, and possibly even up to 15 gigabytes per second. Now, as far as we know, the max speed for the PlayStation 5 is 9 gigabytes per second, which obviously is less than 12 or 15 gigabytes per second. Here's the issue though. Dee Batch himself says in the video that these are theoretical numbers, and we still have to see how these systems perform in practice, because you can take all the numbers and do all the math on paper, but that doesn't necessarily equate to what the machine will actually do once you're running it, because of a whole bunch of other factors, one of the major ones being heat. So to answer the actual question of is the Xbox Series X with the velocity architecture faster than the PS5, the answer really is I don't know. I have no way of knowing, and Dee Batch doesn't know. He's assuming based on the numbers that he's crunched, but he doesn't really know. And like I said before, these are theoretical numbers. So while I like the video that Dee Batch made, and it is a very informative video, the title is a little bit misleading, because the title does say PS5 SSD slower than Series X. But that hasn't been confirmed. He wasn't able to confirm it. Nobody's confirmed it. So we don't know if that's true. Regardless of that though, I tried to do some research and see if I can find any other instances of people giving these same numbers. But both the searches for Xbox Series X 12 gigabytes per second and Xbox Series X 15 gigabytes per second come back with nothing. It seems actually like this Dee Batch video is the first time that I can find of anyone actually saying these numbers. Now, that's not me saying that he's wrong or that he's lying. That's just me saying that I'm not able to confirm those numbers anywhere else other than his video. As a matter of fact, in trying to do some research on the velocity architecture, I wasn't able to find a single instance of an article saying that the Xbox velocity architecture was faster than the PS5 SSD, or an instance of a developer or game engineer or anybody with first-hand knowledge of the console saying that the velocity architecture was faster than the PlayStation 5 SSD. You'll find a ton of articles that say velocity architecture may be faster than PlayStation 5 or could be faster than PlayStation 5, but there's no articles that say the velocity architecture is faster. And like I said, there was no instances that I was able to find of a developer or game engineer or anybody with first-hand knowledge of the console saying that the velocity architecture was faster than was available on PS5. So once again, in terms of is the velocity architecture faster than the PS5 SSD, I can't answer that question because there is no verifiable proof that that is the case. There is hypothetical numbers and theoretical probabilities, but nothing solid saying, yes, velocity architecture faster than PS5. As a matter of fact, the only times I've ever seen anybody saying that the velocity architecture of the Xbox is faster than the PlayStation 5 is just regular fucking people saying it, or people that don't have any first-hand knowledge of the consoles. People that have Xbox-centric YouTube channels. I mean, fucking look at Colt Eastwood, for Christ's sake. He made a video on March 31st titled, Devs Confirmed Xbox Series X Faster Than PS5, Velocity Architecture and Kraken on Next Generation. The only problem is, the title of his video is bullshit because all of the articles that he links in his description link to articles saying that it may be faster than the PlayStation 5, or it could be faster than the PlayStation 5, like I was saying before. But not a single one of the sources provided has a dev confirming that the Xbox Series X is faster than the PlayStation 5. It's just a clickbait bullshit title. But a lot of people see that and run around repeating, oh, velocity architecture is faster than the PS5. And like I said, I've heard a lot about the velocity architecture being faster than the PS5. Unfortunately, it's always from regular people. Not once has it been a developer, game engineer, or anybody with first-hand knowledge of these consoles. So once again, unfortunately, I can't answer this question because no one's given us enough information to be able to answer it. We don't have the proper data to answer it. No one's given us the proper figures to answer it. Most of all, Xbox hasn't come out and said this. Like, you would think that if Xbox found out that their velocity architecture worked a lot better than they thought it did, or that they thought it would, and now they're seeing crazy numbers, that they would say something. And let me be clear about something. Their silence doesn't mean that this hasn't happened. Their silence doesn't mean that they didn't find out their velocity architecture is faster than the PlayStation 5. They could have, and they just don't want to say anything right now. So their silence isn't an indication that the velocity architecture isn't faster. All I'm saying is, again, I don't have enough information to give an answer to you, and one of the best sources for that information is Xbox, but they haven't given us that information. So again, I really can't answer this question. And I really hate situations like this because then you have people on both sides making all kinds of claims without any information or data to substantiate their claims, and we have no idea what's what. I do find it a little bit funny though that when it was originally thought that the PlayStation 5 SSD was twice as fast as what the speed on the Xbox Series X was, that the Xbox people in the Xbox camp were like, who cares if the SSD is faster? Like, we don't give a shit about faster load times. Like, your SSD is not going to give you more teraflops. It's not going to affect performance. Like, who gives a shit about your SSD? Like, go ahead and brag about your SSD. It's not going to do anything. Who gives a shit? And now that the velocity architecture is supposedly faster than the PlayStation 5 SSD, all of a sudden we're hearing about all the ways that the velocity architecture is going to affect performance when before it was just about load speeds. But now, it's going to affect performance and do all kinds of crazy shit. So I think that's pretty funny. But hey, I mean, that's the way the game's played, right? It's like, hey, if you have it and I don't, then it's shit. But the second I get it too, then it's awesome. Anyway, so long story short, to answer the question, is the Velocity architecture faster than the PlayStation 5 SSD? I can't answer that question. Neither can Dee Batch, neither can fucking Colt Eastwood. None of us can. We're really not going to know this answer until we start seeing these games running on these machines and someone can actually break down the speeds. Like, it's not going to be until we can get like a digital foundry breakdown of these games that we're really going to know. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to give you whatever answer it is that you were looking for, whether it was a yes or no, but unfortunately that's just where we are right now. We don't know. And anyone who says they do know, don't believe them. They're full of shit because they can't possibly know. The only way that someone would be able to know and give you a definitive answer is if they have first-hand knowledge of both consoles and have worked on both consoles. And that's very few people. And as of yet, nobody in that position has said anything. So, like I said, that's where we are. Well, that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next Supernova.